You are listening to Free to Flourish Radio, a podcast dedicated to living a seasonal, sustainable, intentional, and heart-led life. I'm Gemma Sands, and this is episode 52. Hi everybody, welcome to the first episode of season 3 of Free to Flourish Radio. How exciting. And also the first episode of 2019. A big happy new year to you all. It might seem a little bit strange because we're now well into January, but I want to say it anyway. And a big thank you for being here today. It's been quite a while since I've been in this space, and that certainly wasn't intentional. Life did get in the way a little bit at the end of last year, and also I got a little bit stuck in a place of comparison, and I just want to take a moment to talk about this. I started to look at other people in the space who were creating podcasts, and I began to feel like perhaps I didn't measure up because I don't have a fancy studio to record this in. I don't have anyone to edit my episodes for me. I don't have the capacity to interview lots of guests. And I began to kind of fall down the rabbit hole of, is my podcast good enough? Is it professional enough? Am I bringing interesting enough content to people? So it really kind of held me back a little bit from jumping back in this space. But I've kind of gotten over all of that. I've gotten over myself a little bit. And I've really been thinking about how to jump back in. And I've really missed being here. So my intention for this year is very much to get back to sharing what is on my heart on a weekly basis. Maybe there will be the occasional bonus episode where I collaborate with someone who inspires me. And I want that to be a little bit more conversational than perhaps some of the more interviewee type episodes that I've had in the past. But I want to make this a regular thing. I want to commit to showing up here and just sharing what's going on for me, really, keeping it very raw, because actually that's just the way that I love to do this. I love this to be a conversation about themes, topics, issues that I have been dealing with, I have been moving through, and from the feedback that I get, I think that's what you guys like best as well. So there will be lots more to come from me this year around what I'm working through, around what's going on with business and how I feel about that and the behind the scenes. Self-sufficiency, living more naturally, living in tune with the seasons, and just really coming back to our natural rhythms and who we are at our core. So that's kind of what you can expect. In terms of what's been going on for me in the time that I've been away, I just want to quickly share a few things with you. So I very much ended up taking quite a step back from everything towards the end of the year because there were lots of family things and lots of personal things to be focusing on, and they became my priority. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of update you on a few little things. I relaunched my lifestyle blog, Wild Spirit Living, and I'll put a link to that wherever you're listening so you can click on it and have a look. And a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, it's just a creative outlet for me. It's somewhere where I can just share some of the more personal things rather than things related to coaching or essential oils or all of the sort of things that my business revolves around. And secondly, to just try and get back into the community of blogging a little bit again, because, I started my business out of blogging. It came out of the fact that I've been blogging for over 10 years now. And so I just really wanted to get back into that. So that's kind of new. That's where that focus went a little bit towards the end of the year as well. Obviously, teaching about oils, essential oils. I'm so passionate about doing that. So there was a lot of focus on that. But everything else kind of dropped away a little bit. And so here we are now. It's January. It's 2019. And I really wanted to jump into something that's been coming up for me as we move into this new year. So, okay, let's get to it. So what I wanted to chat about today was a bit of a different way to approach 2019. And if you're a regular listener, or if you maybe subscribe to my weekly emails, and by the way, if you don't, I send them out every Sunday. And why are you not subscribed? Link is down below, so you can go and do that. Or if you follow me on Instagram, then you're going to know that I'm not a big fan of the whole New Year, New You thing. And actually, I think this rhetoric is quite dangerous because very often it leaves us feeling like we're not good enough as we are, that we need to change a whole load of different things in our life all at once, all in January, in attempt to make our life more perfect. And that can seem like a bit of a strange thing for a qualified life coach to say. And don't get me wrong, I am all for growth, I'm all for expansion, but not when it leaves anyone feeling like they're not already enough. So my approach to the new year this year has been to ease in very gently, not to jump in on the 1st of January with lots of goals, but instead to spend some time letting things unfold. And I've really been pondering on what has been coming up. I've been making space, getting back into my morning practice and just allowing things to flow through and see what comes through. And it's a much gentler process. There's no striving, there's no hustling, there's no plucking goals out of the air or doing what I think I should do or what I'm seeing everyone else doing. And something has been coming through really loud and clear, and that's what I want to share with you today. And what's been coming through for me is that there is a difference between creating goals based on what you want and creating goals based on what you need. Now, I'll repeat that again in a minute, but you can swap out the word goals for anything that sounds more aligned. So it might be intentions, it might be dreams, it might be visions, whatever works for you. But there is a difference between creating goals, intentions, visions, etc. based on what you want and creating goals, visions, intentions based on what you need. Just let that sink in for a moment. You might have lots of ideas of what you want to create in your life this year, but actually when you stop and consider them, do they align with what you need? And it's great to have a vision, it's necessary even, I would say, but have you really ever stopped to examine if what you're dreaming of is what you need and what your motivations behind wanting those things are? And so I've had a bit of a revelation with my intentions for this year as I started to put together my vision board as I do every year. I first thought I'll look back at the old ones and all of the things that had manifested and all of the things that hadn't. And when I did, I realized that I had put so much energy over the past few years working towards things that actually they weren't my truth. I might have wanted them, but they weren't what was right for me. They weren't what I needed. They weren't what were aligned for me. So for example, I had a goal on one of my vision boards to really pack my schedule with 8 to 10 coaching clients a month. But actually, I am at my best when I have my boundaries set and when I maybe have 2 coaching clients a month. Another goal I had was to fill up this big group program. I was going to have this big group program, kind of e-course group coaching program. I was going to fill it with 50 people. But really, what I need, what works best for me, is when I work on a one-on-one basis with clients or I work in small group settings or workshops. Maybe you've got a goal to create 5-figure months in your business, but what you really need is to create space. Maybe you have a goal to run a marathon, but actually what you really need to do is slow down and take a daily walk in nature. That's what you need. That's what's aligned for you. So I guess what I'm really saying with all of this is don't be in a rush this month to set your intentions just because the 1st of January has ticked by. We're into the second week of January now. Don't be in a rush to set those intentions, but sit with them for a while, see if they really fit, see if they're really aligned, see if the reason for you wanting to create them is actually the truth for you, or if there's something else at play here. Okay? And whilst we're on the topic of easing into the year, I also want to say that if it feels good to you, take a cue from nature this month and give yourself permission to stay in your cave a little bit longer, because January rolls around and we're all in a rush to set our intentions, to get going, to get the new year on track. But actually January is deep in our winter season. And our winter season is not a time for hustling and striving. It's a time for reflection and nurturing. So if you're finding this month a bit of a struggle, if you're finding that you are needing to go slow, then just give yourself permission to do that. Drop any guilt around that. Drop anything negative that you might be holding onto around that. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Just come back to what feels good for you. So that's where I want to leave this first episode, a little bit of a quick one as an introduction and just some thoughts about January here. But I will be back every Friday with new episodes. I've got some exciting things coming up. I'll be sharing whatever's going on for me, whatever I feel called to at the time. I don't tend to plan these episodes in advance because I just like to show up and I just like to bring it raw and ready to you. If you have any thoughts at all about January and intentions and anything that I've mentioned in this episode, please do leave a comment so that we can have a conversation about that. Of course, you can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a review. That would mean the world to me as I move into being back in the space with you again. And I hope that you all have a beautiful week, and I will talk to you again very soon. You have been listening to Free to Flourish Radio. For more episodes, don't forget to subscribe through SoundCloud, iTunes or YouTube. And to access full show notes, visit gemmasands.co.uk.